Hey, it's David Baer from Baer on Marketing. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the webinar software that I use to create webinars called WebinarNinja. So here we are inside my WebinarNinja dashboard. You can see that I have over 400 webinars that I've gone through, and I'm actually going to go through the process of creating a brand new webinar here in the platform in just a moment. Now, what I want to show you is that there are actually several different types of webinars that you can produce using this platform. So you can schedule a live webinar. This would be a webinar that you would schedule for a specific time, and then people would show up at that time. And for people who don't show up, they can elect to watch the replay. Then there are automated webinars. These webinars are ones that you can schedule to happen at a specific time every day or once a week in different intervals. I'll show you how that works in just a moment. A series might be something like people who are signing up to watch a webinar over the course of 3 consecutive days, perhaps, or weeks. It also could be a webinar where you have other participants, and so you have different sessions that people are going to sign up for, and each session might have a different presenter, for example. And then finally, the hybrid webinar. This is the ability to actually play a pre-recorded webinar while you're there live in the background, maybe interacting with people in the chat area. This is the one type of webinar that I personally have not done of the ones that are here inside the platform. So let me just sort of walk you through what it looks like to set up a webinar, because it's very straightforward. We're just, for the example here, going to use the live webinar option. All you need to do is create a name for your webinar. Now, this is the name that is going to be shown on the page where people are signing up. So it's not, my next webinar, right? Because that's not going to really be the, oops, I didn't even spell that correctly. That's definitely not going to be appealing to people. So you want to make sure that the title that you're using is going to be compelling in some way. I'll often want to use some sort of benefit or a tease to get people to want to know more about what's inside the webinar. Now, here, if it's a live webinar, you're going to have a specific date and time. When you set up your account here, it's going to ask what your default time zone is. And then when it shows up on other people's computers, when they're registering, they'll actually get the option to see the time in their local time zone, so that they can judge whether they're going to be available at that time or not. They don't have to translate it based on what the time zone you're located in might be. And then you have the option for both free webinars. You can also connect it to Stripe and set up paid webinars. I've not done paid webinars myself. And that's it. So that's as straightforward. So let's just pull one of the let's see the secret done for you eBay mass sales formula. And so that's sort of a curiosity headline. We'll just use that for now, and I'll go ahead and create webinar. And after it's created and scheduled, all that is going to happen next is that I'm going to want to go into double check the page that I'm going to be publishing it to, and make any adjustments on the webinar registration page or thank you page. So this is edit the webinar is just the information I just put in. If I have co-hosts, I can actually send an invitation to them, and then they have a direct access into the webinar. The webinar settings in general, this is sort of just the logistics, like do I want to show social media links? Do I want the thing to expire after people register? Do I want to have an internal thank you page, or do I want to redirect them to my thank you page? So those are a few examples of what that might be. And then, oops, let's go back here. Registration page. So this is the standard template that is set up here, and this is one that you can then go ahead and change. So in this case, it has an exclusive webinar type webinar. You can go in and change that. This is sort of just the default, and I can go ahead and type it in all of these places, but this is it. If I want to have a different background, a different image in the background, a color theme, I can make those adjustments there. And then there are additional templates. There are templates that are by default in here that WebinarNinja has designed, and then I can actually create my own variation, and I actually have some saved templates that I have used specifically with a different background for my particular webinar style as well. But you can see that if you want to include a bit more information, maybe information about the host, a video on the page there, you have the ability to add all of those things as well. So let's say that we're happy with this. We can always go ahead and preview, but just save it, and then you have your registration page all set up. Now you can do the same exact thing for the thank you page. So let's just go here and you can see thank you page template. Again, I could either choose to redirect people to my own thank you page, or I can use the thank you page template that they have here, and I can adjust some particular content if I want to. Email notifications. This is a critical piece of an effective email registration process, is that you want to make sure that people actually show up for the webinar. And so inside WebinarNinja, they have predefined emails at specific intervals that they have found over the thousands and thousands of webinars that they have done here on this platform, that people are most likely to show up based on the frequency and how many times in advance of the webinar people are reminded about it. You also have the ability to have a follow-up after somebody has watched the webinar. So you have the ability to say, thanks for showing up, or you missed it, but here's the replay. And so you have the ability to put those in as well. All of these are editable, so you can go in and actually change the content here if you want. You could take out everything here and write a brand new email, and then you can use all of these variables that might be information that you want to include here. So you want to put the person's name, to personalize the email. You want to put the name of the webinar, the date or the time of the webinar, the link that they're going to click to get to the webinar. All of those pieces can be added to this as well. And then let's go back one page here, and I'll show you the other items that you have access to. Email integration. So if you are integrating into a particular email software, this one is integrated into MailChimp, but there are other integrations. I'll show you that in just a moment. And then you can see the stats for your webinar as well. Once you have done all of this, the next step is simply to publish. And when you hit publish, you have two choices. You go public, which means that it shows up in the directory of all of the webinars that are cataloged by WebinarNinja. So anybody who might be browsing through that and sees your webinar goes, oh, I want to watch that, they have access to it. Or private. If it's private, it can only be seen by people who you send the registration page link to. So you want to make sure that you know the different options there. The one benefit to public is that when you do a public webinar, you have the ability to put social media share links on all of your pages, and when people share that, it will display the name of your webinar, the details of the time of the webinar, and all of that. When it's private, that information doesn't get shared. Instead, when you share those links, it'll just say WebinarNinja and a default image. It's one of the downsides to the way that they have set this up, but the idea is that they're aiming to help you drive more traffic by pushing you into the public directory, and that's why they do it. Then there's also these categories. This is really, I think, most beneficial for the public as opposed to the private option here. Okay, once it has been published, then you're going to see that you have the ability to simply share it. So you can get a share link and copy that link, and then I can put it onto any of these social platforms or in email or anywhere else I want it to go. So that's pretty much how you set it up. Now, let's say I'm going to go back into the webinar settings. Actually, I guess I can't do it from here. I was going to change the type of webinar, but we'll go ahead and cancel that. And we will just create a new webinar. And what I want to show you is the difference between the automated and the series as well. So automated, the big difference is instead of choosing a single day and time for your webinar, you can actually choose a bunch of different variations. So I can say every week, every day, every hour, every month, with certain days of the week that I can select, the starting date and time, the ending date as well. Now, one option that you can also do is a watch immediately, in which case whenever somebody shows up on that page, it's always ready for them to see. Or you can choose a hybrid of both of those, where you have the ability to choose a date or watch right now. So let's say I want to have this happen every day, and I want to have it happen 3 times a day, and I pre-select these times, and I can change these times that if I'd like. Let's say I want it to be 5 p.m. and I want it to be 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. All right, so now I have these 3 times. It's starting this date. I want to have it go for 2 weeks. And then I want to, on the page where they're registering, I want them to have the ability to just see the next few options. So maybe I have 3 or 5 different times that they can register for. Now, I have, because this is a replay, this is an automated webinar, I have to choose a video file. And this could be a video file from a webinar that I have done in the past, which is here in my library. Or I have a video that's on YouTube, or I can upload a new video here. So those are my options when I am setting that up. And then all I do is hit create webinar. And again, that same process that I showed you earlier, you want to just go and adjust the settings for the registration and thank you pages and your emails before you publish it. And then finally, the series one, actually, let me jump over to hybrid just for a second so you can see hybrid is basically a combination of these first two, the live and automated. It's a specific time, so it's as if it were live, but it's automated in the respect that you're using a pre-recorded video. That's the only difference there. Okay, now let's do series. So a series, you'd select the title, how many different individual webinars are there going to be, and then you can appoint each individual webinar has its own title. And so let's say you're doing like a summit where you have a whole bunch of different hosts. You can actually add in a different co-host for each of them, assign the different time that they're going to happen, and then you hit publish. Again, same sort of situation here. Some of these could be pre-recorded. You could have some recorded, some live, and all you need to do is figure out, okay, is this happening live? If so, I'm going to invite the co-host and I'm going to run it live, or I'm going to have a pre-recorded video that gets broadcast at this time. That's the major difference. So you have the ability, as I showed you, to do live webinars, automated webinars, a series or a summit, and then a hybrid version of these first two. So that's pretty much it. In terms of reporting and statistics, you have the ability to get that information as well over here. I'm actually going to jump into the media library too, because I wanted to show you that. And then finally, I'll show you integrations. So the media library is where all of your images that you might use in a webinar. So this is a background that I use for my registration pages. If you have videos that you're going to upload, these are for some reason the preview is not showing up, but these are the videos that I use to broadcast as my automated webinars. If I wanted to have some external videos that I wanted to include YouTube links for as well. And then once you're inside of, actually I should show you that as well, once you're inside of a webinar, you have the ability to upload some of the stuff that you might share on a webinar live as well. So that might be your PowerPoint presentation. You would do that through sharing your screen, or if you want to upload a PDF and then you could share the PDF. If you have downloads that you want to give away, those sorts of things too. Integrations. So the integrations that you have the option to consider here are, if you're going to be paying, if you're going to have a paid webinar, you need to connect your Stripe account. You have the ability to connect this to Zapier, which will then connect it to all kinds of different platforms. And then here are the direct integrations for email platforms. If you don't see your email marketing platform here, don't worry. Again, you can always use Zapier to connect it through that platform. And then finally, if you have a registration form for your webinar that you want to put on a different website, you can actually go ahead and do that. You select, which webinar you want to have this for, and then you can continue and then generate that registration, and then it will generate a code for you to embed onto another page. So you could put that anywhere. You can put it in your blog on the side column, or you could put it somewhere else online that you have the ability to embed code. So that's how all of the integrations work. Now there's a full training. There's this Webinar Ninja Academy over here that you can go through to get really good training on how to not only use the software, of course, but how to deliver a high quality, well-structured webinar. And that's all in here for you to understand as well. It includes things like the overall blueprint structure for a webinar, selling through webinars, how do you get people onto your webinar, and then the folks at Webinar Ninja actually do a monthly members only, it looks like monthly, but it looks like there was no December one, monthly members only training where they pretty much offer an Ask Me Anything Q&A session, as well as show us all of the things that are coming up next in the platform as they continue to develop it further. All right, one of the things that I had promised I was going to show you is inside of the webinar platform when you are in the studio. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Enter Studio. How you manage things from the back end. So here you go. You can actually, I can see myself talking right now. I can see that my microphone is picking me up. In fact, it looks like it's not picking me up nearly as well as I would want it to. So maybe I want to bring it a little bit closer to me right here. I have a little bit testing to do if I want to test the speakers. And then I am going to go ahead and go inside the studio itself. Now over here on the left hand side, you see I have the ability to share my screen, so I can click that and it will then give me the ability to choose a Chrome tab or an application window. So let's say I'm using Keynote or PowerPoint. I can show those slides there, or if I'm using a Google Slides, I can show that tab on Chrome if I want to. In this case, I'm going to cancel that. I can upload slides. So here you can see I've uploaded a PDF in the past, and actually it'll show you all of the things that you've uploaded before, so you don't need to always upload stuff again and again. So I'll open that, and now you can see that is actually down here, and if I want to switch the places, I can switch those slides, and now you can see, and then I'm advancing through the slides right here while I'm talking. All right, but I'm going to swap that back. Let's get me back over. Oops. Let's get rid of that. That's what I meant to do. All right, I can upload a video, so I can actually play a video inside of the webinar. I also have the ability to share a screen and then play a video, let's say from YouTube if I wanted to. You have to make sure that your audio settings are as such that the people who are watching can actually hear the audio on that. Sometimes that can be a little tricky to do properly. And then based on how many things that you might be showing on your screen at any given time, you have the ability to change the layout. So let's just for a moment, let's bring those slides back up. Okay, and now you can see that here I have the ability to change the layout. I can put myself next to the slides. This is an empty slide. We'll move it to a slide that actually has something on it. Okay, so you can see I have the ability to get myself back there, change the layout by putting myself down in the corner. I can put myself over on the left-hand side. I can put myself underneath if I want. And the only one that I can't do is these 4 up because I only have 2 of us here, not multiple ones. So this is quite useful, especially if you have things that you want to highlight, or maybe you have several people who are presenting and you want to have everybody on the screen, or you want to highlight a particular person, and you can swap them out simply by moving people from one place to another. So there you go. And then I can turn off audio and video. So there we go. My video is off. I'm not going to turn my audio off because, well, I guess I can because I'm recording this elsewhere. All right. So I've just turned my audio off from that platform as well. Finally, this is the settings that we saw when we first came into the studio. So that's pretty much it. It's pretty intuitive when it comes to running the webinar. Now, there's a few other things that you might want to know about in terms of and they are promising to be updating this shortly, so it's very possible when you see this video, it may look a little bit different. But during the webinar, you have the ability to allow chat here on the right-hand side or turn it off. I get rid of it if I want to, as I'm running the webinar from within the studio here. And then down below, and this is what's going to be changing, they're planning to move this so that everything is visible in one screen and there'll be no scrolling required. But you can have questions here so that as people pop questions in to the live chat down below here, and then you answer them, you can actually identify at what point in the webinar they were answered. You can run polls. So let's show you an example of, here's a question. And then I can have some different answers, and then people can answer the survey that I'm doing. At some point I can say, hey, and now down below the video there's a survey. Could you go and answer this question now? And then we can then have a discussion about the feedback that we got from people. So that's another thing we can do. And then finally, if you have offers that you'd like to send people to, you can create those here, and then have a link. You can click and edit the, here's the button text. Here's my link. So I'm going to go to, google.com, right? And I want to change the color. And I can then go in and, here's my offer. All right, I can't do two things at once, it looks like. All right, so there you go. And then I can go ahead and save that. I can then just decide in the case of an automated webinar when I want that to show up, or I can just turn it on at the point that I am ready to share it with folks. So let's go ahead and hit save, and then I have the ability to turn it on or off at a certain time based on when I want to reveal that offer. So those are a few of the pieces in here. It's very clean, really, really easy to navigate. And then if I want to monitor the chat, I can pop in and out of that as well. So there you have it. That's WebinarNinja in a nutshell. You got a chance to see how to build different types of webinars, from live webinars to automated webinars to hybrid webinars and series. And then I showed you inside of the studio how to manage a webinar. I also showed you how to build the registration and thank you pages and customize your emails. So the last thing I wanted to show you is sort of how WebinarNinja prices the different options. So let's jump over to the pricing page, and you can see there's several different levels. These are very competitively priced considering the other webinar platforms that are out there on the market. So I have a sort of a hybrid. I have an older version, which is somewhere between the starter and the pro. But you can see that you're restricted on the starter to live webinars and automated webinars. And then once you upgrade to pro, you have the ability to do the series and the summits. And then you actually can't do the hybrids unless you have a plus. So you can see I kind of don't fall into this this range of offerings now. And then the power one is really just about getting a lot more people into your webinars. You can get up to 1,000 people. So that's the one thing that you need to kind of have a sense of. You can move back and forth between these different levels if you like, as your business grows, or if it shrinks, you don't tend to do as many webinars and you want to downgrade, they do allow that. Now, the pricing you're looking at is when you pay annually. This is what the pricing is on a monthly basis. So let's say you want to be in for a bunch of webinars for several months, and then you really don't need it for the balance of the year. This is the pricing that you might consider paying at that point. So you can get a sense of this is used by a lot of high-level folks who are presenting some very, very solid regular webinars. It's a dynamic platform, an easy-to-use platform compared to almost everything else that's out there, and I highly, highly recommend it if you're looking to get into the webinar space, if you're looking for a simpler option compared to what you might currently be using, or if you're simply looking for something that is going to be a nice entry point into learning webinars without having to break the bank. Webinar Ninja is a very solid platform. So if you're interested in trying it out, you can go ahead and click the link down below this video where you can learn more about the different options and go and take Webinar Ninja for a test drive. I'm David Baer from Baer Marketing. Thanks so much for checking out my video and a look inside of Webinar Ninja.
Oh, hey, before you go, if you liked the video, hit the like button. And if you got a comment, please leave one. And finally, don't forget to subscribe.